Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We are your hosts. I am Joe.
And I'm Randy.
This is episode 185 of the show, and the date is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. What's up?
Not a whole lot. I'm getting rained all over around here.
Yeah, lots of stinking rain. At least it didn't rain a whole lot when I was out doing my route.
That's true.
It sprinkled some, it did some rain. I guess early on it kind of rained a little bit. I had my umbrella out.
Very light, so.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
So we got Martinson, Patrick Demo, Darth Theic. I saw Arnman. Yeah, he's around, sneaking around. Not sure if I missed. I'm not sure how many folks we have. I know
Don't have many.
We got some competition. Nerd Cognito's doing a special Tuesday night thing with
if you call us competition for them.
Yeah, I know.
Especially with a potentially juicy topic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Strife.
Intra-Party Strife is pretty juicy. You would think that people would be very competitive about that.
Well, I have some thoughts.
Good.
I have many thoughts about many things.
Right.
Hopefully I can keep them coherent tonight. I struggle sometimes with being tired, which I think some people notice, but
if we waited till we were fully rested, we would never do it.
no. So so you had Elseworld come to Earth X.
Yeah, this year. So in the Minders campaign, which is a Savage Worlds, it's a Savage Worlds sort of quantum leap game. Well, instead of the characters leaping, a different Cthulhuoid world came in conjunction and alignment with their place. They were in Corvallis, Montana, and they went checking out this little weird bus stop. And when they got there, they realized all the numbers were from Wisconsin.
Oh.
And so some weird Earth variant in Wisconsin was bled into where they were. It was colder by about 30 degrees, and we had a cool little adventure. And that's the first time I've done that sort of thing. Instead of them going to a world, they going to a different world through the machine, somebody brought that world to Earth X, and we kind of found they figured out what the bad guy's really up to. He's trying this super conjunction to try to bleed all these worlds together and make an amalgam of all these universes where he can control all the resources. So
it's greed.
It's greed, and it probably won't work out well, but he thinks it will because he's cool and smart, he thinks. But
that's the thing. Smart people often have some hubris, and them being right a lot often makes them think that they're right all the time. So it's hard. It's hard, and you can't blame them a whole lot. I think if they're right a lot of the times, when someone tries to convince them they're wrong, if you're doubting yourself, it'll make you less successful. So they
really
have to
intelligent.
Be somewhat.
There is a bit of a misheld belief that people that are smart are kind of good at one thing. That's generally not true. Super smart genius people, they're kind of good at just about everything.
A lot of things, yeah.
Yeah, and so it is pretty hard. Welcome, Plady One. I'm glad you made it. Darth is in the house. I don't know if I said hello to Darth. I know I did to everyone else. But, so it's interesting. He is I don't know if the guys have picked it up, but I kind of laid it down. There's two really smart dudes. A professor, one's called Dr. Dandrin. He's the good guy. He's kind of the guy that gives the missions, generally speaking. And then there's Dr. Strange. And he's the bad guy. They had been college buddies. Two geniuses, college buddies. What does that remind you of? Fantastic Four.
Yeah, Fantastic Four. Dr. Doom and Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, that was kind of the...
What was his... Reed Richards, yeah.
Reed Richards, yeah. Welcome, Flint. Fireford is in the house. But yeah, that campaign was good. We had a good session. Freaked them out a little bit. They did what they had to do. They kind of saved the day. They ended up being a little hardcore. I won't go into the details, but let's just say one of the guys that had been a pretty fair-minded individual decided that someone had to die, and they did. So it was pretty interesting.
That's cool. That's a bit like I listened to a novel recently, and the setting was interesting.
Yeah.
Wherein people were brought from Earth from one time period or another.
Yeah.
Usually modern times. and they were brought into a city or town.
Yep.
And it's kind of a zombie apocalypse setup wherein the main characters are all immune to the virus.
Oh.
Like, let's say 90%, maybe that's too high. At least 50% of people who are brought in succumb to the virus and become zombies over time. And the longer that goes, instead of like decomposing into nothing,
Yep.
it goes that way for a short time, and then they start getting more powerful and larger, developing armor and getting smarter.
Kind of like what's that world game? This Is Us. It's Us or something. Oh, Martinson will know. The zombie video game got turned into a show on HBO or Amazon. This Is Us, or not This Is Us.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Anyway, they had a variety of zombies, but I think the zombies, some got better, but not always.
Yeah, the trajectory was getting more powerful, as long as they weren't Last of Us.
Yeah,
so,
thanks, Martin.
They eat the regular people, and then they eat the other zombies too. They feed each other up, and they consume what they can, and they get more powerful.
That's cool. So you can run into a bunch of alpha zombies. Could be dangerous.
Imagine Bay City getting carted off to this place with all the people that live in it.
Oh no!
And then 50 to 75% of the people becoming zombies over time.
Yeah.
But during that initial period, services, regular city services are all disrupted.
Right.
And then most of the people who catch the virus also, it interferes with their way of thinking.
Oh, okay.
They become a little bit robotic.
All right.
And don't respond normally to the things that you do. Okay, add into this some normal looking people are actually what are called bots.
Okay.
Right. They so you have normal people who have all of their memories and have a trajectory. You have another set of normal looking people who have a different trajectory, and they're called bots. Okay. And some of them are good and some of them are bad. How to explain this? Some of them become like enemy forces. And they act strange in that they think that the folks who are infected by the zombie virus need to be cured, and if you kill them, you're committing murder. So they are on they go around and try to establish extreme law and order.
Oh, okay.
You have to have a license for your weapons and all this other stuff. So they're a bit heavy-handed. And
is this a book series you were reading, or?
Yeah, and so
cool game setting.
Right, and so you have different zones. So you have these zones where these cities come up, and they recycle. So a city's brought in, zombies are made, and then regular people escape, and then after a certain time, it repeats, and and it happens all over the place. So there's this constant influx.
So it's kind of like a planar thing, where like Bay City is a city, becomes in the same world as where the zombies are. Is that what it is?
Well, the zombies are generated from a virus that infects people, right?
Okay, gotcha.
So when you come in, you get infected or you resist it. And then basically what these cities end up doing is providing endless zombies and sometimes resources that you can use.
Gotcha.
And then there's other places that remain stable that you can go to and rest, or not, because people aren't necessarily nice.
Right.
And then there's some in-between areas that interesting things happen in, where places from other planets or times can be brought in on a small scale.
Oh, okay.
So I'll explain more to you maybe offline. It's going to take a lot.
That's pretty cool, though. That sounds like a very gameable place.
It's kind of like Rifts without it being all these other dimensions, right? Most of it is Earth cities being brought in and wrecked, zombified, and recycled over time.
Oh, okay. Sounds cool.
Right.
Did you get the game at all this week, or just got to read about zombies?
That, and I listened to Dune on audio again.
Okay.
Because we had our episode,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that I knew there was more complaints, essentially.
Okay. Give it to us, man.
So I know that I mentioned something about the baldness
Of
the Harkonnen.
Harkonnens, yeah.
Okay. And two things. Okay, so the Harkonnens were bald, and the Emperor was an old guy with gray hair.
In the new movie.
In the new movie.
Yep.
Okay, both were redheads, right? All the Harkonnen, a common element with the Harkonnen is that they're redheads.
Yes.
The Emperor was also a redhead. Was also 72, but looked like he was 35.
Oh, okay, yeah, because he was
The spice. So I'm not sure why they decided to go with his actual age. It's kind of silly.
Okay.
But and I'm going to talk about some of the older things too. Like,
okay.
Speaking of bald, in the first movie, all the Reverend Mothers were bald.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, they weren't.
Right.
So I don't know what the deal is with making folks bald.
They got a thing.
Right. I don't know what the new movie does with Paul and Jessica and their relationship. There was a lot of tension, and it went through a lot of different changes and stuff. Started out kind of formal, because that's the way they acted in when they were still House Atreides and before the Duke was murdered. They were fairly formal. They didn't do a whole lot of showing of affection or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as the story progressed, they went through a lot of back and forth, especially when Paul found out he was Harkonnen. Was that part of the new movie?
They mentioned that, we found out somebody was a Harkonnen. I think Paul found out. Yeah, he did find out he was Harkonnen.
Yeah, because Jessica is the daughter of Baron Harkonnen.
Oh, okay.
And so, because he let him, according to the lore, he let himself be seduced, trying different things when he was young. Blah blah blah. But
our man said bald people look smart, right?
Isn't Homer bald?
Homer Simpson, yeah.
Unless he has one of those. Does he have one of those like one hair curly cute things on the top of his head?
Maybe. Patrick Stewart's bald and he looks smart.
Yeah. So
whether he is, I don't know, but he looks smart.
So Thufir is
the mentat that worked for the Harkonnens.
No.
Oh, no?
The Atreides.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Peter de Vries worked for the Harkonnens. So he gets, when the Harkonnen come and take over Arrakis, he's eventually captured and pressed into service.
Yes.
For Baron Harkonnen. Do they do that in the new one?
I know they did it in the old one. I can't remember in the new one. The old one's the one I watched the most recently. I had to really push myself to get through it. It was trash.
So so he was pressed into service. In the original movie, they had him with a cat and a mouse that were connected, and he had to pet them and because they poisoned him, and the antidote was found by doing that macabre thing.
Right.
Well, in the story, they did poison him, but they just fed him the antidote in the food, and he never knew about the poison. So the plan was that at some point they were just going to stop feeding him the antidote when he would stop being useful, and he would die.
The mentats, Martinson says he thinks he did. I don't think so. The mentats had little to no role in the newest movie.
And Peter de Vries and Baron Harkonnen had a lot of friction.
Okay.
In the early part of the story.
Yeah.
And because of their personalities.
Sure.
And eventually Peter de Vries gets killed, and that's why they bring in Thufir after they capture him because he wanted a mentat.
Right.
Well, it's not a huge part of the story, but Thufir ends up throwing a monkey wrench in their plans.
Oh, okay.
And he's probably the reason why the Emperor ended up coming down on Arrakis. Because of his suggestions, spice production was like at a low. Right. That and Paul kind of saying, yeah, we're not going to let you do stuff here. Yeah. But them together, he probably brought the Emperor a little bit prematurely. And it was a nice character arc because it's a little sad. He got kidnapped.
Yep.
He ended up working for someone he hated.
Yep.
And got poisoned and died in Paul's arms in the story.
But he did his best to help Paul.
Right.
Cool.
So a nice little character arc that they could have had that would have been great.
Yep, they did.
I think I've already talked about Kynes was a dude. Stilgar's brother, Chani's father. And one of the reasons why Chani and Paul got along well at the start was because they both had their fathers killed by the Harkonnen around the same time. So they had something of a similarity, something
they could share,
common ground that they could commiserate. And of course, no, they didn't want to do that because they had to make Kynes a black woman for some reason.
It didn't even last that long either. It was dumb.
No.
Died pretty quick.
And he had a bigger role in the novel than he's had in any of the film treatment. But
yes,
someone's got to get cut.
But in the first one, they made it clear he was a Fremen, or he's a Fremen, right?
Right. So his father initially was the planetologist who married a Fremen. And so he was raised totally by the Fremen, and which is why he was eventually a leader there, because he was a capable dude.
Sure.
Right. So Paul wins a woman. Jameis, the one he kills in the duel.
Yep.
His whole household became Paul's. And of course, that was not done in any of the film treatments that I've seen. There was tiny bit touched on in the original movie. There was some film that was cut that might have been put in to the longer treatment. The comics, oh yeah.
Good.
So Flady says, coincidental topic, I just read the old Dune comics this weekend. So I have a memory from when I first told Randy about Dune, when I was reading it, when we were 12, 13, way back, when dinosaurs roamed the land. And, I started I started watching the Spice Diver version, and it just, I don't know.
What's Spice Diver version?
They, some dude cobbled together some older footage, remixed some of it together, and some lost footage. There was a little bit extended version in the old movie when the Emperor was talking with the Spacing Guild.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That I don't remember seeing anywhere.
Okay.
And I was like, well, this is boring. And I stopped watching it.
I'll be right back. I want to show you guys something. Give me a minute.
Sure. So I remember there being a scene in the book that corroborates with or that's probably not the right word, that is similar to one of the initial scenes in the old movie where the Emperor meets with the Spacing Guild. And I remember telling Randy about it. I remember the details of it very vaguely, but I bought a soft cover version, and I don't remember it being in there. And the audiobook version doesn't have that scene in there either. So I think this particular version is abridged. So I'm looking for a definitely unabridged version of the novel so I can see if my memory is out of whack. I know Randy probably does remember everything I ever told him about every book I read when I was young.
Every single detail.
Right.
So I've got this comic. I got this. This is the first one written by Brian Herbert, I believe, the son of Frank. Yeah, Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. It's a big, thick collection. You can get it at Barnes and Nobles. I bought it, and then I realized that was just a first part. There's going to be 3 parts, so there's a second one. You can get it really cheap on Amazon, like $20. Here's the second one. They call it the book 2 is the Muad'Dib. Book 1 is just Dune, but they're going to do a third one, and I think they're doing a comic version. I know Brian Herbert's trying to. They said they didn't think anybody stayed true to Frank's vision in the comics, so they're trying to do a true comic vision, but we'll find out.
Well, I don't know about the comics. The films for sure, but there were 3 parts in the novel, the original novel.
Yep.
So those 3 might follow those 3 parts.
Yes, Man of War. Joe was hoping he could piss right into your cornflakes. I'm glad you enjoyed the Spice Diver. Joe did not. Joe's picky though, dude.
I'm picky. I started watching it and I didn't really care for that initial scene, and so I stopped watching it. But I probably will sit through it. So my judgment of that version is tainted.
And that's something you can watch on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to look that up.
Spice Diver.
But it's a variant of the original, right? The original movie?
Right.
I'm not sure. Maybe I can sit through it again. I don't know. I'll try it.
There's a minor character called Count Fenring, the Emperor's best friend.
Oh.
And he has a pretty minor role, but it's significant in its own way. He's never been in any of the film treatments.
Was he the one who had a Bene Gesserit sleep with Fade? Was that him? Because in the new movie, a Bene Gesserit on the Harkonnen home planet sleeps with Fade for some reason.
Okay, so yes, his wife does that. Do they tell you why, or do you not remember?
I don't remember.
Too long.
I'm sure there was something was said, but
the Bene Gesserit have their breeding program, right? And that's the whole thing. That's how they bring about the Kwisatz Haderach by uniting different bloodlines and genetic lines. And so they wanted to make sure that the Harkonnen line didn't die out because it had some important things to it. So she sleeps with Fade so that they can still have that genetic information. So she can have a child and that line is preserved.
And she's that guy?
She's Count Fenring's wife or consort, something like that. They can't have kids because he's they call him a genetic eunuch. So, right. So that scene is usually, that part of the whole story is usually cut out. It's pretty much cut out of the 2 film treatments I saw. There's some reference to Lady Fenring in the sci-fi version.
Yeah.
But that's it. Just some reference.
They showed her seducing him in the new one.
Oh, well, in the sci-fi version, the seducing part was done by the princess. Right? Somehow she decides to go to Gidi Prime, watch him do his whole dueling thing, and then seduce him. So she can get information, which she didn't need and didn't use. It was stupid.
That's weird. Okay.
So there's probably a good reason why they cut Fenring out. It's because he and his wife have a weird way of talking to each other. And it would be difficult to emulate in the story. It would look silly.
Okay.
Now there's a pretty strong, in the novel, pretty strong sense that he derived a lot of the lore, the Fremen lore, from the Muslim religion. And that's never really come across all that strong in the movies. Maybe a little bit more with the sci-fi series, but they kind of, I think in the earlier movie, they kind of made them just look like vagabonds.
Yeah.
There was maybe a little bit more to it in the sci-fi show. You might be able to catch some of that in it. Um,
Well, there's a religious sect of the Fremen that all follow and believe the Kwisatz Haderach's coming, and then there's the ones that think it's just stories in the movie.
okay, that's kind of not.
Okay.
I mean, okay, among the Fremen, they
Or that Paul's the dude. He's the Muad'Dib cool guy.
right. He eventually convinces nearly all the Fremen,
Yeah, he might.
and in the novel, some of them are doubtful that he is that person, but they're all raised on that legend.
Right, but some of the young ones are like, I'm not sure it's true.
The big problem that he has with the younger folks in the novel is that they have a practice. The Fremen have a practice that when someone wants to take leadership, they've got to kill the one that they want to take over for.
Right.
Right. No one recognizes leadership except through battle. Right. So he has to not do that because he would have to kill Stilgar.
Right.
He would have to kill all the Naibs who are the leaders of all the Sieges to do that. And he's like, I'm not doing that.
Yep.
And this is why. And they talk about it. And he says, I'm your dude.
It is pretty stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, why would you kill your best? That's just dumb.
Right. Right.
That's a dumb.
So he and even among them, they admit in the book that they try to not do that, as much as they can. But a lot of the young ones want him to do it because, he's the dude and they want him to come in and
show how bad he is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though he's demonstrated multiple times that nobody else can touch him.
Right.
In a duel.
Right.
But yeah. Oh, yeah, Marcus. They're talking. Never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have a suggestion so that maybe, and if whoever picks up this task next time,
yeah,
a way for them to do better is to make it a mini series on TV, like they did with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Because that was super popular.
Yep.
And Dune is a bit dystopian.
Yep.
It's about how humanity has declined, and they're trying to get out of their decline.
Yeah.
Even Paul becoming the Kwisatz Haderach is kind of, in a macro sense, humanity needs a kick in the pants, and he's there to do it. So, yeah, make a mini series.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these TV networks have the kind of budget you would need. There would be some special effects, but a lot of it is practical. Fighting and sets.
I'm counting. Sorry.
So yeah, I think while what I've seen of the current Dune in clips, I watched a bunch of clips and watched a review. I would judge it, having not seen either one all the way through, to be superficially good, as in cinematography is good.
Yep.
They got fairly good actors and all of that.
Yes.
They had good locations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they casted very well. I don't agree with their casting of Thufir or Duncan, either one.
Yeah. But I mean, it was.
But that aside, it's good on that level.
Yeah.
So it has bling,
Right.
and it might hit some of the really critical plot points. Oh, thank you, Martinson. He says he got me a belated birthday gift. My birthday was all the way back in January, way back when. That's cool.
Our man says if he could pick a series of novels to be a miniseries, it would be Eric Flint's Ring of Fire. I don't know that book, but I'm not have to look it up.
Right. So Ring of Fire, is that the one where they all start with a number that's the date? I know that Eric Flint did this set of books. I don't know if it's all called a Ring of Fire, the one I'm thinking of.
Dude,
where
27 books.
Yeah, 1632. So basically, it's about a town or a city that gets transported back to 1632. In that particular, I think they switch. Whatever was located in that position, they switched in time.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And apparently, he's brought on many people to do some of those books. He's not done them. He did many of the initial ones, but he brought in people to help him write a lot of them. You said 27 books.
Wow.
Yeah, he's. I think he's well known for helping authors get a name through helping him write.
That's cool.
Subsequent novels in that series.
If I had my choice, I'd want to see the Dresden Files done right.
Yes.
And by Jim Butcher, I think there's 14, 15 books in that series. I think it would be phenomenal.
Right. And I caught 5 minutes of the first episode of that horrible TV show that they made, and I was like, this is not Harry Dresden.
And it's not horrible, but it's not
horrible.
It's not horrible.
They didn't read the source material. So
they did not.
It's like they played the telephone game with the Dresden books and went through like 10 people before it got to the producers, and they said, yeah, we got it.
Someone hit the highlights real fast, and they just ran with it.
The Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, super Cliff Notes, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the actor. I like the actor they picked, too. I think he'd be a great Dresden.
Yeah. He looked the part. I thought, well,
he could be taller.
Pretty close.
I just think, see, to me, I know everybody wants the perfect look guy. I'd rather have a good actor. I think he's a good actor, and he was thin and tall.
He's close enough.
Granted, he's not 6'7" or whatever Dresden's.
You're not going to find that many 6'7" foot tall actors,
right?
That are good.
Right.
Got a few.
Yeah.
But right. So it's difficult to translate medium, but I think we got the perfect medium to translate books like Dune. Is the miniseries.
I think so too. Or, a Game of Thrones series where it has season, 8, 10, 12 episodes a year. And you just.
I mean, they wouldn't need to. They wouldn't need to do a multi-season thing.
Oh, you think you can do one season?
I mean, I don't think you could get. So the first novel's 3 parts.
Yep.
You might be able to stretch that out beyond three episodes, but not much more. I mean, you could get you might get a short season, because some of those shorter seasons are more like 6 or 8 episodes, right?
Yeah, maybe you could do 6 or 8 episodes. A true miniseries.
And I don't think you would do. It would be a regular TV series that has 24, 25 episodes that are even an hour long. You wouldn't do that
unless you wanted to explore into the expanded Dune universe.
Right. So you've got the normal 5-book series, and you got all the prequels. I don't know if they have any that go beyond Chapter House.
Yeah.
But I didn't know he was that tall.
Really?
James Arness.
He was a big dude.
I was going to say Gunsmoke, but it wasn't Gunsmoke. It was something else.
What was he from?
So it was a TV show.
Western. It was a Western, wasn't it?
Right. It wasn't Gunsmoke.
Okay.
That was another dude. I think he was tall too.
Matt Dillon.
That's
it
not,
was Gunsmoke.
No.
Yes, it was Gunsmoke. Matt Dillon. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm thinking the Rifleman.
You're thinking Chuck Connor.
Chuck Connors. He was a tall dude as well.
Wow, 6'7". Dig that.
I always thought that they couldn't really do. Yeah. Season 2, Children of Dune. Season 3, God King. Right. They could probably put Children of Dune and Dune Messiah into one season because they were shorter books.
Yeah.
The God Emperor, and then Chapter House was kind of really weird. That would have to get an X rating, probably.
Yeah, I've lost interest in Dune after the first 1.5 books. It kind of faded away. I liked
the first book was good.
First book was really good. I mean,
I like the first 3. I think were good.
Sure.
God Emperor was kind of whatever. You're a big worm.
Is that where is that where Leto the Second becomes? Oh, spoiler!
Yeah.
Leto the Second becomes a worm, dude.
Yeah. And then in Chapter House, they got this new group of magic sex women.
Magic sex women. Man, they're dangerous. Magic women are dangerous enough, but magic sex women? That sounds like trouble.
Anyway, enough about Dune.
Yeah.
They should make it a miniseries on TV. Movies, no. They're too short.
Gotcha.
You have to cut too much good stuff out.
All right.
All right. So, enough of this kind of strife. Let's talk about inter-party strife.
Ooh, yeah. Let's talk about
or intra-party strife. I don't know what the difference is between intra and
inter. Inter is in between parties. Intra is within, right?
I don't know. All I know is Word has the squiggly red line under intra-party.
Mm-hmm.
Inter-party, it doesn't have the squiggly line.
I may have it backwards. Inter refers to something that's between two or more things. Intra is within a group, within a single group.
Okay.
So intra-party strife. Yeah, I think I got it right.
Okay.
And someone else is an English major.
Maybe. No, they don't. This doesn't like it. Word does not like it. Anyway.
Yes.
Strife in the party between party members.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the players, though that can come into play with this. I'm going to say at the outset that tension is okay.
Yep.
Because you can have tension and it can work for enjoyment at the table.
It can.
You can have players call each other player characters call each other names and stuff like that, and good fun.
Or you can have one guy who always runs off on his own and does like the rogue. He's always sneakily around, and he's always up. He seems like he's up to something, but you can't prove it because he's always helping the party. And it could be that he's just doing his own thing, and you could play that character as long as everybody knows he's not, trying to screw the party over. It's fine. Little interesting.
And you could have some attitudes that don't mesh perfectly well between characters that they don't have to devolve into fisticuffs or whatever.
Yep.
And it can be fun.
It can be.
However, when it comes to strife, when it comes to people wanting to draw swords or cast spells and do bad things to each other, that's when it becomes not good.
Yeah.
I know some people kind of enjoy it.
They do. They don't mind a competitive style of D&D.
Well, competitive is one thing.
Well, I mean, if it's like, I'm going to win and you're going to lose.
Right.
And lose means you have to die and I get your stuff.
Right. I mean, I'm fine with competition when it's, how many orcs can you kill? I killed more than you, ha, 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 kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to my character's going to kill your character, and that's how I'm going to win.
Yep. No, and like our man said, we'll get to this specifically, he said the thief class, not a fan. I agree. I'm not really a fan of a thief either. Not particularly. I think they've caused more trouble than they've caused more trouble than what good they've added, I think. Hey, phone guy, welcome, dude. I hope Risu is doing okay.
Right. Yeah, Risu.
Risu?
That's a nickname for me wife.
Okay.
For me wife. She is doing okay. She says she needs to get in touch with you guys. So hopefully she does that. Regular contact. I'll let her know you asked about her. So you put a bunch of questions here, so I'm going to start at the top. How does this surface? So essentially, it's just when one or more players cause trouble.
Yeah, and I think it can be as simple as someone like you play the thief and you steal from the party, or it can be a little less simple that you're up to something. You can't you get offered a mission to go retrieve this magic gem by the king. He says, look, I need this back. It's a symbol of our country. Without this, the rest of the lands will break up into rebellion. I'll have a big civil war in my hands. And then the local evil, mercenary wizard takes your character to the side and says, hey, dude, when you guys catch that, why don't you bring that to me and I'll pay you double. Just you. And someone's like, oh, yeah, I can do that. And maybe they'll find it in the adventure and hide it from the group and say, man, we didn't find it. Oh, no. Even though the rest of the group, the players actually see him find it. Yeah, it's funny. Iron Man is saying some things, and so is David Gwill. I think I don't like the idea of someone who steals all the time, but Yeah, I think that can be a problem. That can be a subtlety thing, or a guy that always keeps everything close to his vest and keeps everything secret. That doesn't bother some people. I've played with a lot of groups where it doesn't bother them, but I'm not particularly fond of it. But I think it's because of baggage we have from the past.
There's that, but also everybody doesn't have a right to know everything about everybody else.
Correct.
So you have a character that decides they don't want to say something that's not really pertinent,
right?
Then who cares? No one should care.
No,
I don't need to say everything that my character knows all the time.
No, you don't.
Most of the time, it's not going to matter because we're all sitting down at the table at the same time. The thing that my character and me as a player here, everybody else does too. So I don't see the big deal. But when it comes down to the thief, yeah, because a lot of times the player is going to say, "I'm a thief. I steal stuff. What do you want me to tell you?"
Yeah, and me personally, I don't care if the thief takes a little off the top. We find 3,000 silver. He takes an extra 100 or 200 for himself. That's fine. He grabs a gem or two. But if he grabs if he grabs a magic item, that's where I draw the line. And here's why: because it can make a massive difference in a character.
Right.
And it's not really fair if he's, say, last time he got the magic sword and then he steals the magic ring. So he gets new magic. I mean, it can be a real problem. Eric DeSmet chimes in. Welcome back, Eric. We had a player steal a magic sword out of a chest. He wasn't invited to the next session. Well, that's one way to handle it. I'm not saying that's wrong. I would definitely tell him that's not cool. I'm going to start our man's comment and David Will's too. We'll get to that in a minute. Go ahead. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, so the thief class has its own set of baggage.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to have a Bilbo or a Frodo type character. And Bilbo was called a burglar, even tongue in cheek by the dwarves, but he did the burglar stuff without causing undue friction. I know when he essentially encountered the dragon Smog, he snatched. No, he already had the ring.
Yeah.
So he took that ring from Gollum.
Yeah, Gollum. Our man says this. He says, I think these skills should be a part of every adventurer. You can make some arguments for that.
Sure, especially the sneaking around part. Maybe not picking pockets because
climbing important.
Yeah. Picking pockets and disabling locks. Those are special skills, but it's something technically anybody can learn, I guess. Right. Backstabbing.
Oh yeah, that's
part of the thieves. I mean, if you're not talking about the backstabbing part, if you're just talking about the steely, sneaky, deception type things, yeah, I agree.
I mean, it can be a problem. It doesn't have to be. I think the strife sometimes can cause just by the way, certain players can always rush to talk to every NPC and join you everywhere you go. That can be annoying at times. That's a strife that a player can cause, not just a character.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, when is it good? When is strife good? I'm going to say strife isn't good just on its face.
I would say
strife between party members.
Right. I would say this is good. This is what, maybe from a DM's point, I find it fascinating to watch. When you drop a conundrum in front of the players, it doesn't have to be a gotcha situation, just like a situation that's, depends on how you look at it, this choice will be a little better than the other. And part of the party wants to do one thing. I mean, it's really adamant we should do this. The other one wants to do that. That kind of strife can be fun to watch them work that out.
Right. So here, I know a lot of people are saying this, and I see where they're coming from, and I can agree with the whole don't need a thief class. But, Subutai, thief and Alcha.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from Conan. And you had that other guy who was in the second Conan movie, which I know not everybody, many people say it's a great D&D movie, Conan the Destroyer. I think it's a bad movie. But they had that little squirrely guy. He was pretty much a thief, right?
Yep.
It worked out.
Dar says, just because you are a thief does not mean you should steal from the party. Now, a little gold here and there, that's one thing. When it's at the detriment of the group or the game, it can be a problem. I mean, yeah, if you steal the one magic item that the party needs to get through the secret door of power, and you don't want to tell them because that's what you were looking for, and all of a sudden, oh, I happen to have it, that could be a problem. Or you're just being a dick, and you don't
Right.
want to tell them because you want to mess it up.
I think the problem with the thief class is in the first edition and second edition, both, I believe, they were more of a support character. They weren't a character. A thief wasn't a character that could straight up fight. They had to have somebody else there that they could fight in tandem with.
Yep.
And their skills only came into play when there were traps or chests to open. So if you're out in the wilderness fighting monsters, thieves can tend to be kind of less useful.
Yep.
And they could be good at scouting because they can hide and everything. But a ranger can do that out in the woods too.
I mentioned what Arnman said earlier. He said, it has happened in games when a new character enters the party and it seems fake. I don't know what he means by that. Maybe he could elaborate.
Maybe the comment about I'm a thief, I steal because I'm a thief.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. That's what I do.
But anyway, we're getting off on just thief. What about
when is it bad?
Yeah.
So when is it good? So you were going to say something about when is it good?
Well, like I said, I told you it can be good when there's a strife about deciding the course of action, as long as it's not like you got cramping.
Cramp.
Joe's walking's getting him. Oh, here's Arnman. Players tend to not trust the new guy trope. Yeah, that gets old. Make it difficult for a new player to join the party. That's a player strife thing. Absolutely. I find that irritating. I've played in a group. Oh my God, a couple of groups where that's happened. The new guy had to be the butt lick. Yeah, Joe's got to handle the cramping of the legs, dude. Me and Joe, we're so massively powerful that sometimes when our legs cramp, we have to take a break because it's going to tear our bones in half. Let me try to answer some of the questions. Some good comments with the thief. David Gwill says, yes, thief skills are stuff that anyone can feasibly do. And this is part of the reason where I wonder if it's even a necessary class. Me too. I have wanted to get rid of it. And then he follows it up with a good statement. Almost at a point where I've distilled our game town to your class is either some flavor of wizard or warrior. Dude, I have said that before to Joe multiple times. There's really only two classes. You could argue there's two classes. That's all you need is some sort of caster and some sort of fighter. Everybody else is, the thief skills. I don't get the whole, and let's be honest, in second edition, the classic thief and first, he was weak sauce. He was super weak. He gained levels fast, but he was still weak. I mean, he just wasn't very useful. And well, that's not true. If you're dungeon delving at low level, thieves can be pretty useful, but he's still not very tough. So David Will says, sweet, get rid of the cleric. We're on the same page. Yeah, I should. I thought about it. What's up, weird guy? Dude, weird guy. Oh, I think you're the one I owe an apology. Are you the one that was touting Heroic, the role-playing game? Was that you, weird guy? I don't know if you're hearing me there, but I had to take my pledge off. Nothing personal, nothing against them, but I had to back out my pledge just because of money issues. So it was just not a good idea. Yeah, sorry, word guy. I may end up backing again before it's over. How much time do I have left? I need to check it. So yeah, I really need to get it, but we'll see. Arnman says in OD&D, in the beginning, there was no thief. Correct. We did just fine with the D6 mechanic for sneaking. I agree. I think first edition got a little crazy with the thief, and I know the thief came in the Greyhawk supplement or something. I don't know. Probably. I wonder if that came about because there was a moderate amount of PvP in the early groups of the Gygax guys and Arneson. If you watch Secrets of Blackmoor, there was a lot of strife with characters having different strife, meaning they had different plans and goals. And maybe the thief was a guy that I want to steal an extra share of treasure. I find that gets really old and uninteresting. Yeah, I think I could envision a mud sword there not being a thief class. In fact, there isn't one right now. I don't even mention it. So, um, Weird Guy's answering my question now. He says, 2 months left. It was for 3 months. Also, no need to pledge. Bear has broken all his stretch goals by quite a large margin. He's good for cash. Yeah, but I still probably will. I felt bad. It's like, I kind of like to have it. Then I was like, money's a little, not really tight, but do I want to spend it? And do I need another phase rip game? But I really do. I need to support Bear. I want to. I think he's doing a bang up job. Classes that I have right now, not fully fleshed out, but I do have the idea of a wizard. I have a fighter, and then I want some holy guy. He may be a cleric. Religion's going to be prominent in my side of the world, in my world. But again, I'm still waffling, David. I don't know about the cleric. I don't know about. There's going to be some kind of religious thing, and I could go your route where everybody's religious, but I want it to be kind of different. So,
Ouch. Ouch, ouch.
Okay, I bet, buddy. You all right?
Well, the cramp comes on if I move my leg the wrong way. And it looks like every way except for one particular way is the wrong way. So I have to sit with my leg in a particular position. Otherwise, cramped.
Did you super walk today? I think Darth.
No, the mail was light and I got home early.
Marv walking we doing today can lead to that. Yeah, I guess you got to get those electrolytes in, brother. Eat some potassium, eat some bananas, drink lots of water and Gatorade.
Become a vampire. I think blood probably has the perfect amount of electrolytes and stuff.
Yeah. Armin says, I've played in just a couple of groups where we had intra-party strife. Took a lot of our energy away from adventuring. Usually a player would quit after. Yeah, I hate that. That's absolutely right. It fully steals the focus on the adventuring part, on your group beating and vanquishing bad guys or doing whatever you're doing. I think it, and some people like it. They like this. I mean, I think I told the story. I did tell the story when my wife first played 3rd edition with us, her real beginning of her D&D career. We had a guy that, he contacted me through the internet and he was nearby and he came to visit and he wasn't there an hour and he threw the gauntlet down. He was being really combative with my wife in character. He wasn't, being rude to her. And then he said, well, you're either going to go with me or go with her. We're not both going together. And I had a whole brand new group of guys I didn't know at the time. And anyway, it ended up, they all chose my wife. And then afterwards he left. And they said, what are we going to do? We're going to, he goes, well, first of all, they agreed with my wife. They agreed what Deb said, which was to go do the adventure. He was being all this convincing. And they go also, and one of them was very pragmatic, said, am I going to choose against the dungeon master's wife? That didn't seem very smart. I was like, that wouldn't have mattered. But afterwards, I talked to the guy. It was a long story. I won't go into it. I've told it before. Long story short, it was a lot of strife. And the game just dies. But I think strife with the characters can be fun, but I think it's better if everybody lays their cards on the table and says, if two characters start getting into heated discussion, especially because a lot of issues I've had in the past, and I don't want the game to blow up, I'll say, is this in character? Are both you guys good with it? Because if you are, we can let it go. If you're going to role play it as if you two don't really, get along, like Green Arrow and Superman used to not really get along too good in the early days of the Justice League because Superman was, true blue.
Yes, in the history of the Justice League, in other teams like it, there's various times when people were at each other's throats.
Yeah.
But it didn't usually come down to, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
It was more just arguments and maybe the team split and 2 or 3 of them went this way and 2 or 3 of them went the other way or whatever. Someone had to be a loner for a while. Mm-hmm. Which kind of works in a comic book or a movie or something like that. At the table, it can be difficult to split, especially if it fractures and gets, everybody's like at each other's throat. So 5 people at the table, 5 different directions. Good luck, DM.
Yeah. And if they all become doing their own machinations, and every session is bouncing from this group to that group to that group, or this player to that player to that player. What are you doing? Let's keep it secret. Then we're passing notes. Then we're going into other rooms, and it just becomes a debacle. I think it can be cool if characters like in the comics have or in the novels, some characters adventure together through a long time, and they start out not liking each other. They're just pushed together by circumstance, and slowly it becomes respect. And ideally, eventually it becomes appreciation, even if they argue back and forth. Kind of like Legolas and Gimli, eventually it becomes just a friendly banter.
Right. Right. So which question did you end up at?
I didn't get very far down. We stopped and I answered something. We were talking with the chatters about some other things.
Right. So when is it good? When is it bad? I think we kind of covered that.
We did, yeah.
It's in general bad unless your table kind of talks about it.
Yep.
And it keeps it down from actual strife to just tension. So what you're talking about with Legolas and Gimli is a tension thing, not necessarily strife exactly.
Yep.
Do you need some for verisimilitude to make it seem like you're real people, or should you just stow all that crap for the good of the game?
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever really needed.
Yeah, I think "need's" a strong word.
Yeah.
I think you could allow. I mean, a group of players could like it, or they could like it where, hey, let's all just be companions. Let's be friends, so we can do cool adventures together. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not a lesser experience.
I know we've had talks about that off and on over the years.
Yeah.
Of, hey, it seems normal for people who just meet to not necessarily get along very well.
Right.
So maybe we should, play that into the game. But you're usually going to at least tolerate one another pretty well after going through life and death situations over and over again.
Yeah, after you fought through the Temple of Elemental Evil, you're pretty tight, dude. It's hard to imagine.
Should be. You may still think that guy's kind of annoying, but he has my back and I have his.
Right, and I think, like Arnman had mentioned, it is dangerous when you bring new players into the game and people pull the new guy, or if someone's character dies and you do old school and say you're in the middle of the dungeon, your character dies. Oh, you find that the Mind Flayer had a prisoner. He happened to be a 6th level fighter. This is Joe's new character. Hey, can we trust him? Can we trust you? Versus, and then there's the other side too, right? Where, here's all Joe's stuff. You're our friend. Let's go.
Yeah. So
both of them feel a little awful.
Right. One might seem a bit more realistic, but again, we don't play the game to be realistic.
Not fully.
No, I mean, gravity should work normally.
Yes.
But the game is about escapism. So
correct.
A little bit of a departure from the norm is par for the course.
Right. A little hand wavy is okay.
Yeah. I mean, we got magic and stuff.
Might be a good time for a montage.
Yeah.
You guys give the new guy some ribbing. He explains his background. You realize, well, let's give it a shot.
Give him a wedgie real good.
Yeah, we're in a life or death situation. We need you. You need us. Let's act like we know that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're just traveling partners. You're just going from A to B and nothing important's going on.
Yep.
You're usually relying on each other to fight the bad guys. So anybody who's willing to fight monsters with you, you've got some kind of common ground in a real way. So we talked about
some of this we talked about.
Bad or good. Does Intra-Party Strife bring something to the game necessarily?
I think it can bring some verisimilitude in terms of a novel or story, meaning it can go, oh, that's kind of how it would happen in a book. But I don't think I think it has more negatives than positives.
I do too.
Yeah, I think it really
You're
does.
there. So the hobby is we sit at a table where the DM has something for you to do.
Mm-hmm.
If we go through a bunch of crap just to get down to it, it's like town stuff, right? Town stuff can bog you down too.
Yep.
I would say not as bad as the strife thing, but if you have to, every time you sit down at the table, slip the dude a Mickey just to get him into the adventure. He wakes up while you're traveling, or what's going on? Well,
BA from the A team and all that,
Yeah, pull a BA all the time. Yep. That even got old for that series. Oh, we had to put drugs in his milk.
We got fond of this sometimes. Arnman says, I never liked the games where the DM gave a particular character secrets that usually ended up as gotcha. Yeah, that can be a bad thing. We flirted with that for a long time. or we'd have the one guy who was the plant. Everybody would be good, and one of them would be secretly evil. Now, in a one-shot, that can be kind of fun if somebody in the group turns on it. We've done it enough where it's not terribly new or original anymore. Maybe we'll chat about it a little bit. Ultra American, he watched the Nerd Cognito with Daniel Fox. Cool. I would love to hear about that later.
Right.
And Darth says, playful intra-party strife is fine. When it becomes personal, then it's out of line. Yeah, you need to let it go.
Yeah. We touched on it a little bit. We are going to get to that too. How can it take away from the game? We've talked about that a lot already.
Yes, we have.
It can wreck your momentum. You're not going anywhere. You're just arguing. That's no good.
No, it's no good.
Best or worst experiences? What do you think?
I think one of my top experiences, even though I know it was a shame, it was during a cabin con, one of the earlier ones when we were out in a small cabin, just like 8 or 10 of us. And remember, we were and Philip did it. Philip told every one of us we were all secretly the evil plant.
Right.
And one guy said, I hate being the evil guy, so he made him good. So we all thought we were secretly evil, but one guy was actually secretly good.
Right.
And that was hilarious. That was a fantastic, weird ending.
And for a one-shot, that kind of stuff can work.
It can work.
Worst, do you think?
Worst experience? I know we've had some.
It's not an experience, but the whole thing when we were younger players, where we were all at each other's throats, player-wise, character-wise, not player-wise, but character-wise, we're all secretive, and you gotta watch your back because the next guy at the table is probably going to stab you in the back and take all your stuff and laugh at you being first level again.
Yeah. Oh, David Gwill, that's the same. He says, better than our games like 25 or so years ago in my teens, there were players that would kill each other in more than once.
Oh, yeah.
And you bring back a new guy. Patrick says all CC, PvP arena battles. Yeah, that was the design, dude. It's fine that you didn't like it, but that was the premise. It's okay if you didn't like it. It's fair.
And none of the characters died permanently. Really.
No, there was no permanent death. Later on, we found ways to do permanent death.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's not for some people. Patrick doesn't like
it. Right. It's not for everybody.
In general, I don't. I don't like it in any kind of story.
It is more one-shot thing. That's why I think that that whole campaign kind of wore on everybody.
Yes.
Because really, the arena thing is a one-shot special thing, and not necessarily one shot and never, ever, ever do it again. Mm-hmm. But you do it every once in a while. Everybody kind of throws in. And
we'd have probably been better off leaving it fully as arena fights.
Yeah.
And never adding the world, never adding the story, because then you get more investment in your character, and then I can really see what Patrick's talking about. It sucks to die.
Right. So
David Will wants to clarify. He says, no, wait. I should clarify that the characters would fight and kill each other, and sometimes the actual players got close to fighting. Right.
Yeah.
We had the same thing. It was crazy. And like Weird Guy said, over magic swords, we kind of have a need before greed sort of philosophy now, and most of us can just decide how things go. And if two characters want a magic item, these days I just say roll D20. Highest one gets it. You know? And after you get one, you can't be, in our game, you can't just keep grabbing every magic item that comes along. You gotta, okay, I've had one, let everybody else have a shot at it. I really want that. Yeah, you got one a minute last time, you can't have it again. And in my game, there's never a problem because nobody gets magic items. Works out. So that's another boon for not having magic items, Joe.
I guess you can look at it that way.
It keeps strife down.
Sure. So you mentioned a few things. WWE D&D, which is what we did when we were
kind of what David Gwill's talking
turning
about.
on the party, PC's political motivational goals, keeping secrets, the thief who steals from the party, and the always awesome to hear, it's what my character would do as an excuse for being a butthole. Some of these things can be fun until your PC is the one pushing up the daisies.
Correct. Then it's no longer fun.
No longer fun.
Yeah.
And these things can often end up ruining other people's game night. And these days, trying to get 5 adults at a table for more than an hour is
for 4 or
hard
5
enough.
hours. Yeah.
It's hard enough as it is. Stop with all the real strife. Tension, fine.
And it's a pain in the butt for the dungeon master, dude.
Yeah.
People start fighting each other. The game just gets screwed. And I don't want to do all your own every character's secret machinations.
Right. So I had a character, a mad scientist in your Rippers game.
Yes.
Okay. So he had some things about
gun.
Yeah. So fashioned after the character in what's the TV show?
Fringe.
Mm-hmm. The drug using eccentric doctor from that scientist. So fashioned after him.
Right.
He had a lot of potential to cause strife because he was eccentric. He had demon brains.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of his one of the Ripper's things. He got part of a demon in his head.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And he had a manservant that was an Asian guy. Right. Now, some parties would have issues with that. Right? Some players might have issues, especially these days.
Right. Bunch of crybabies.
If I roll in with a character that has an Asian butler following him around and cleaning his clothes for him, there are people cry all about that.
Heaven forbid you have a black butler. That would drive people crazy.
Right. But I kept, for that character, his eccentricities on a low key.
Yes.
Funny, maybe irritating at times, but nothing that would cause the party to start stabbing each other.
You always play characters that want to go along to get you play characters that want to adventure. So you don't look for ways. I agree. Armin says Goblin Butler is fine. Yes.
Not Asian dude. Oh, Goblin is Asian? Is that what you're saying? You're racist. That's racist.
Oh, I got to pause. Fleddy's got a great statement. Fleddy says, thieves aren't really stealing from the party. They're just undemocratically redistributing the wealth. Perfect communism.
Right. And I've had, many of us probably have done this. You have a character that goes against the grain a little bit.
Yeah,
just to have some of that tension in there. And that's fine.
Who was the one that everybody loved to poop on? Penty. My little halfling sorcerer guy. Yeah. Right. They said, oh, he's this, he's that. So it was fun. It was fun.
So for you as the DM, how do you control the chaos of these kinds of things?
You kill characters immediately that cause strife.
Lightning bolt from the heavens?
Stop being a dick. Roll up a new character. No, sometimes it's honestly these days. If I get parties that are strife and they start doing sneaky, behind the back, stabby on each other, I'll quit. I'll stop the game. I'll say, I'm done. This is stupid. Not interested. I'm just not interested.
Right. So they had long noses, which in older cartoons that made fun of Jews, they depicted them with giant noses. And of course, they're bankers. And everybody knows that Jews control all the banks. So, yeah, there's folks out there that said that nonsense.
Yep. Well, looking back a minute ago, Weird Guy said this. He goes, I had people get upset with me for playing a hot, sexy black woman superhero, and he was just a white guy. Whatever, man. No, I mean, I'm with you, dude. That's stupid. Get over yourself.
It is.
I mean, if I'm going to play Storm in a superhero game from the X-Men, what's your problem? That's what I'm playing. Shut up.
Yeah.
It was dumb.
Do I have to be an elf to play an elf? It's dumb.
Right, exactly. Are there any games that encourage this, Joe?
Paranoia.
Paranoia does encourage PvP. It's kind of built into it, right? You got to jump.
Yeah.
And to have
I don't know the game very well, but I know that it's a where everybody's out for themselves kind of thing.
Yeah, and to have a good time, to really engage the game as it's written, you got to kind of, but you have these clones that come back, right? So your character keeps coming back even though they get killed. Right. They literally encourage you to kill other player characters. Well, you turn them in to the whatever the authorities are. I forgot how it was laid out, but
right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does anybody else know about any other games that are like Paranoia in that it encourages kind of being out for yourself? I don't know.
Aliens has the secret turn guy a lot. If you play the the new Aliens RPG by Free League, if you play their cinematic version, there tends to be at least one guy like Burke from Aliens 2,
Right.
who is the company guy. He doesn't have to be a company guy. Somebody might turn.
Oh, and they've
group.
got their own goals that can step on other players' goals.
Yeah.
Flady says World of Darkness has PvP implied, and I can see what he's talking about.
I can too, because they get, at least in the movies you see of vampires and crap, there's strife within the vampire world, the clans or whatever they call them.
And then if you try to mix and match the different things like werewolf and vampire and mage, they definitely are at odds with each other.
Yeah, I don't think a vampire and a werewolf can really hang out together in that world. I don't know much about World of Darkness. I know some of these guys here do, but I don't think they can be hanging around. So
right. Okay.
Oh, here's some interesting. This is some strife, but this is within the real game mechanics. Sometimes the DM has to direct the player to do things against the party if they are charmed or otherwise mind controlled. Yeah, especially if it's powerful, like a domination, not just I like you, but you're my puppet.
Right. That's true, but that's probably a time when you, as a player, can get that off of your chest and cause some strife and have fun with it, and then just say, "Hey, I was controlled. I'm just playing the character," and then it's legitimate.
Yeah.
You can legitimately say it's what he would do because he's controlled.
Most players would probably try to, like, if your fighter guy gets hurt, gets controlled, you're probably going to try to go attack the other fighter because you're going to have less of a chance to really hurt him if you have an option. But if, like, you see the little weak wizard sitting there, you're like, sorry, dude. Weapon focus, specialization, Warhammer.
Right.
Be prepared.
Be prepared. I hit hard. Yep. You see, I hit hard. Right. Yep. So if you can't deal with it, does it mean you're immature?
Right. Some people, they'll say that. They'll say, like, well, if you can't, do this kind of role playing and this and that, I think it's, I think people will say, oh, you're being immature. No, I came to have a good time. I came to play a heroic character. And like I tell my players, here's what I tell my players. Trust me, I have enough enemies and bad guys in my world that want to kill your characters. You don't need to help me out.
Right.
If you're going to backstab your fellow player characters or screw them over, you can do it. But don't expect any mercy from me if you get stuck all alone. If the thief turns on the party and gets all the magic items, he's all alone, he starts crawling out of the dungeon, there very well might be a random encounter with some really nasty creature when he comes back. And you can say, I shouldn't do that, but I probably would. I would look on the random table. Oh, yeah, it's going to be the Lich. The thief is going to run into the Lich.
Right.
So,
and all that experience that you thought you just got, you didn't.
Yeah, you got a whole lot of nothing. Grizzly Beardo says, when it's good in Call of Cthulhu and a PC completely. Oh, yeah. So if you go crazy, then you could do all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Right. So obviously there are times when players will, player characters, because they've been mind controlled or some other effect in game, causes them to be against the party. Right. That's fine. And it can be fun.
Yep.
And people shouldn't let themselves get upset about that. Right. I know that we had a situation a number of years ago when me and my first wife played, and another couple that we know were playing, and the dude took his being taken over and charmed very seriously.
Right.
And exploited everything he knew about the other characters. Now, but I didn't remember. He got controlled when we went in town.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So this is a one shot. And we roll in for a one shot, and then it's getting backstabbed and die.
Yeah. Right.
That's no good.
No.
But that's more Randy's fault because he did it.
Well, I was the one that said it. I was DMing. Yeah. I mean, you could argue that, but I think he took some delight in trying to host people.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, and so I think you have to be careful, which that can lead to hurt feelings, and players can run afoul. Some players just cause trouble, and you may have to boot them. When that happens, it doesn't mean you can't be friends anymore, I don't think, but it's usually kind of hard because people take that pretty personal when you boot them out of a game. Yeah. Arnman says he's had strife in a game when a player doesn't pay attention. Worse if online play and does stupid things. Yep. That can be aggravating as a player.
Sure.
Because like, pay attention. You should have done that. You could have. Didn't you see my cleric was down and had 1 hit point? It'd have been nice if you'd come over and healed me since you had that potion of extra healing. That'd have been cool. But no, you weren't paying attention, so you decided to go over. I'm going to look at what's in the chest. Okay. Arnman's character dies. Good job. That can be very frustrating.
Or nearly causing a TPK because you didn't follow instructions.
Timmy. That's all right. He didn't. He was tired that day. We'll give him a pass. No problem. Pass. But Joe handled it. Joe can fight the dragon by himself. That's not really a problem.
Skin of the teeth, almost the entire time.
2 weeks. Yeah, you were just every round. I was waiting for you to get annihilated. You lasted 3 or 4 rounds with that dragon without it killing you. But sometimes somebody would pop up and help you out a little bit, then they'd go down, then you'd be alone again.
And if I wouldn't have remembered about
Iron Resolve.
Well, Iron Resolve, but also the Shadow Stalking, whatever it's called.
Yep.
That for the first couple of the first session, I don't use it hardly at all.
Right.
The way it's meant to be used, which is how I did it there, where I could just get all the attacks and use my maneuver to also attack or do something combat-y, but it's much better for my character to use his maneuver to jump in the shadows if possible, and then come out, and then he gets a bonus for attacking from unawares people. Anyway.
Yeah, Arman says he likes how Horde Wars works best if the players cooperate with their actions. It really matters. Yeah, I do too, but I can find it. I can also get frustrated as a player on the other end. We have a few players that like to orchestrate everybody else's moves in some games.
Right.
And I like the couple of guys I'm thinking of, but they can be very orchestrated. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you let a person play their character? So I agree with you, Arnman. I like it when the tactics help a lot to people to work together, but I don't like it if someone tries to be the mechanics leader. You should not use that maneuver. You should use this power and then do that.
No, it's in the heat of the moment. No.
Yeah.
Now making
a plan,
making a plan, discussing tactics and stuff like that, and then pointing out things in between. That's fine. In the heat of the moment, you don't have time for all that.
Yeah, I agree. He says it's okay to orchestrate a little with a brand new. Yeah, if he's brand new,
doesn't understand.
Help a brother out. I get it.
Right,
you go help him out. Sure. I'm just saying you got 4 or 5 players. They've all played the game. Like when we're playing with Blackwall on a couple weeks from now, we playing again. It's better to. I would rather just let us do what we're doing. I don't like to give suggestions because there were times I wanted to say, hey, Tim, why don't you do this? Hey, Brian, why don't you try this? Or I'm sure they went like, hey, Randy, why don't you not die in the first round? And so I'd like that, but I can't help it.
I'm okay with giving suggestions if feedback is asked for. All right. Can all players play together? I think no.
I think no, too. There are some players you just can't. I want to highlight this. It's worth it. Duncan Bradley says, orchestrate. Yes. And Patrick confirms he's been mad. I don't think so. I think there's some players. I have some friends. There are some people I enjoy playing with less than others.
Right.
Even in our close Cabin Con Plus group. Right. Some are less enjoyable than others. Like I hate playing with Joe. He just drives me up a wall. Yeah. I've only been doing it for 40 years just because I don't want to make him feel bad.
Right. So my character, I play characters that are very helpful and contribute to the party greatly, and he just really hates that.
I hate that.
He likes our characters to not succeed when he's the player
and the DM. I like just losing. Losing is more fun, no matter which side you're on. But no. I think you can. I think I grin and bear it in some cases. Other times, I just kind of choose not to play as much. And I think, you can, some players I couldn't, there's nobody in our group I can't stand playing with.
Right.
But there are some players that I would not play it with that we played with before and I've played with in the past. I just wouldn't do it. And some of these sparkly ones wouldn't last 5 minutes at my table. I would just say,
not that we're
there is the door.
There's not that we're going out of our way,
Mm-mm.
but just being us is going to rub some people, not unreasonable people, the wrong way.
And sometimes it's okay just to admit it's not that it's strife. We just like to play differently.
Yeah.
If someone likes a super narrative control, very few mechanics, let's super role play, practically amber, diceless. I mean, knock yourself out, but not at our table. It's just not how we do, generally speaking.
So that's answering this last question here. Can you have real friends with whom you cannot play a fun, enjoyable, satisfying TTRPG session?
Yes.
And yeah, because we don't all agree on precisely what it means to have fun at the table.
No.
Some people love to be super political.
Yep.
Not necessarily bringing the real world into the game, but just doing the intrigue and stuff like that.
They love a little player versus player strife, even if it leads to weapons being drawn.
Right.
And others are like, I don't want that at all. I'm here to be buddies. Let's do it.
And I guarantee you there would be some players who don't like my avoiding encounter avoidance.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are like, I want all the XP, so what are you doing?
That's 1,000 experience points. Why are we avoiding the orcs?
Right.
Yeah, so listen, everybody. Yeah.
Now we're going to segue into the next segment in a bit, but Randy's going to have to entertain you guys while I take Elizabeth out. If you probably can hear little squeakies from her whining about going out. So I need to take her out, and then I will be back on in just a bit. So summon your entertainment persona. I'll be right back.
Fun time. All right, since Joe is gone, let's talk about him. Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. Happy kitty, sleepy kitty, purr, purr, purr. I think that's it. Soft kitty, warm kitty. Yeah, I better stop. I don't want everybody to leave. Yeah. So anyway, what's weird guy talking about? See here. If you only get good XP from killing, then you need to change the XP chart. I recommend the Palladium system. Yeah, I like to mix it up. That's for sure. I think it's good to have a variety. I don't know Ultra, but it needs to be soon. The Ultra American TTRPGer says, Randy, when are you and me getting together for the Horde Wars? Oh, we need to play. Yeah, we do, man. And you're running now, aren't you? Aren't you running some games? Hey, you going to come to Big Geek Con? Dude, you come to Big Geek Con, Ultra American, we will play like crazy dudes. 3 days of awesome fun. Yeah, there are one-shots everywhere. I need to get in there. This is a fact. If you go to the Gilded server for Horde Wars or talk to DM Blackwall, there are one-shots everywhere for that. Me and the Ultra American need to play play a game together. We've been chatting about it. I want to get him in a game. I want to get Ryan, David, and Kyle. Oh, let me give a little shout out. I think it's this Saturday. I'm going to be subbing on the Speakeasy for Ryan David. So Kyle at Dying Breed and I will be doing the show. Kyle will be doing it. I'll be there if people can laugh and poke fun at me. So yeah, I know. I understand, man. You can't make it. Big Geek Con's for some people, it's a long haul, Ultra. Our man. Need to do a Rescue Peter one-shot. We really do, man. We left that NPC to hang. And Peter was a good dude. He was driving that war wagon just the way we needed him to. Oh, well. Get your butt online and play, Martinson. What do you mean you've never played it? Well, that's going to change at CabinCon, dude. Because I'm going to be running some, I believe. So is Blackwall and Lindy and maybe Larry Elliott. So that's the plan anyway. Martin said he's never played Horde Wars. Are you sure you haven't? I feel like you have. Maybe you haven't. I don't know. You need to learn that game, dude. Buy the game and play it. Oh, since Joe's gone, Ultra. How was the video with Daniel Fox and Nerd Cognito guys? I always wonder how that would go. I don't know if I care that much about it, but I had a few questions about it. I would be intrigued. I'll watch it and see what happened. I'm not really Zweihander was never really on my radar, but I heard some of the goofy stuff he said, so I'll be intrigued to see how Ryan David and company handle them. They're usually pretty nice to the folks on the other side that are brave. I mean, I have to give Daniel Fox some credit. He's jumping into the deep end. There'll be a lot of people that are not fond of his style of play. Oh, good. Ultra says no one died. Was really good and lost their heads. Cool. Level heads are good. We should be able to agree to disagree. It seems that we really can't these days, but we should be able to. Yeah. Well, next year shouldn't be a problem. Martinson says last year they filled up before you could get a chance to sign up. All right, dude. Well, don't screw around. Get your butt up there and sign up. So all the sign-ups are at the big house. Well, that's good. Ultra American says Daniel was very polite, spoke very well the whole time. Excellent. I think Darth made a comment. So this is how I'm entertaining you by reading your comments. See how I'm really not entertaining you? I'm starting to use your stuff. I don't know about the other DMs in here, but if you can avoid a big fight and still complete the task, oh, he's talking about Joe's, still get XP for successfully navigating. Yeah, victory is victory, dude. Even if you do it or sneak around the corner and get past them. So, yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think defeating a challenge can be straight up combat. It can be finding your way around the dragon or sneaking in to get his treasure and getting out, basically hosing him. It's still a victory, whether you draw swords and everybody ends up bloody or you don't and everybody's, loving life afterwards. Says, hey, we didn't lose a single hit point. Good play, dude. Well done. I think it's generally more fun if there is combat in most situations. I like the fighty. So, but yeah, so I need to say cool stuff to interest you guys. I'm supposed to be entertaining you, and I feel like I'm getting a sinus thing, but probably because of the rain. This past week, oh, hey, speak of the devil, dude, we were talking about you. Ryan David, what's up, bro? I've heard from the Ultra American. You guys had a good little discussion with Daniel Fox. That's good to hear. I'm going to check it out on the replay. Joe has excused himself to take care of his dog who needs to go outside. So I'm failing. Here he is. He's back to help me out.
Well, she wouldn't go out because it's raining.
Right. She'd rather hold her pee all night than go out and pee.
Well, gotcha. At some point, I'll have to just, manhandle her a little bit.
Yeah, we were talking about Ryan David's video interview with Daniel Fox, and that apparently it went really well. So that's cool. Good to hear. That's cool. Is that a different thing, Ryan, than I just downloaded the episode? If I listen to the Nerd Cognito podcast, will it be the same as that video, or is it something separate? So
obviously we didn't watch it because we were doing our own thing here, Ryan. So sorry about that, but I'm glad it went well. And a lot of times if we don't lead with our issues, and we just talk about some kind of what common grounds we have, most people are good, even if you don't agree on several things.
Look at that! I just threw it in front of Joe's face and mine
while I was talking.
I was telling him to subscribe. I'm that guy.
You're that guy. Yes, definitely subscribe, like, share, and all of those things.
Ryan David says it was same as the audio. Okay, so I can either watch it or listen to it. I'm kind of a podcast guy. I like to listen, so I'll probably listen to that tomorrow when I'm at the gym or whatever. Like I always do. So
Ryan says we asked the hard questions too, but it was all civil. There's ways to ask questions that don't, how long have you been beating your wife? Is one way to ask the question that will start a fight. So there's probably ways to ask hard questions that isn't baiting somebody into being
an argument.
Belligerent.
Yeah, I think you can disagree pretty far apart on things and not have to kill each other. There are some things that could, maybe be like strongly, disagreed where, there's reason wars happen. There could be some disagreements. Well, I think your house should be mine. I don't think so.
Right.
So it might be a fight versus I'm anti-abortion, you're pro-abortion. We can argue and then go off and have dinner. It's not like we have to kill each other.
And, we are in a hobby space. We play games. Even if there are hard questions, they're not that hard.
Not really.
Really. And, we can play in our respective corners of the hobby without interfering with each other.
That is good to hear. Ryan says, I think all parties were apprehensive at first and completely diffused by the end. Good.
That's really good.
That's a good thing. As much as we get angry at the sparkly ones and people that hold things, beliefs that we just stand against, if we don't yell and scream at each other or call names, maybe not even call them sparkly ones if that feels offensive. Not that I wouldn't call someone that to their face. I always call that in a general way. If they start, don't start nothing, won't be nothing.
Right.
If they start name calling, then I might say, I can't help it that you're a pink-haired, left-wing Marxist wannabe RPG weirdo. Yeah, I don't know. Or I can just say, hey, yeah, you believe that if you want to. I'm not that way. Right. That's cool. We may not be able to game together because we might find each other, annoying.
Right.
Oh, wow. Okay. Look at that. Daniel used the term sparkle troll. Okay, cool. So it's made its way around.
All righty.
All right, man.
All right, so we're going to talk about a new thing.
Yeah, we got a new
Randy
segment.
Invented a new segment.
Out of nowhere, just completely created it.
Yes. No one's ever done it before. This is a first, a world first.
A world premiere. Everybody
I will allow you, in my magnanimity, to introduce it.
Okay. The title of the segment is We're Not Worthy, wherein Joe and I are going to talk about TTRPGs, either a game or a setting or a genre, to determine at what how worthy that game or setting or genre might be for long-term campaigning, what I would call a full campaign. And I'm going to say a full campaign requires a year plus of playing versus a mini campaign, which could be 2 to 3 months, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit less, versus a one-shot. Basically anything that's 1 or 2 sessions at most or an adventure. So, so this is the idea. And I thought I would start with something that we have talked about, but I'm not sure if we've talked fully about this campaign ability. And I thought I would begin with the Ravenloft campaign setting for AD&D or for Dungeons and Dragons in any version.
This isn't Domains of Dread?
Right. So you could call it Domains of Dread. Yes, the setting, correct. So I'm talking the Ravenloft campaign setting, which could be the Domains of Dread. Wouldn't just be the Ravenloft I6 module or the Curse of Strahd, if you like.
Well, those, okay.
Curse of Strahd is a particular adventure.
You could, but you could do that as a campaign.
Correct.
You can call it a setting too, because it has a lot of information in there. So
let's
differentiate between that and Domains of Dread, because there's more to it than Ravenloft and it has a bit different tone to it.
If we do the Domains of Dread versus the actual module, okay? Yeah, Ultra American recently discovered When Black Roses Bloom. Yeah. So just the idea of playing in that setting for a year plus, does that sound good? Where it's a significant, so do you think it's campaignable? For you, this is a preference thing. This is not someone could write a adventure that could last a full year, right?
Okay, if we're talking Domains of Dread,
yeah, where you go to the world of
Ravenloft.
For you couldn't stand a full year-long campaign.
Probably not, because it's Domains of Dread and Dread. To me, from what I remember when you got it, there was, and this may have been disproven as we talked about it over time here on the show.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like it was, you have an inevitable corruption thing that happens because of the lords of the area.
I don't
with
think
Domains of Dread.
Because the powers of Ravenloft, the powers are godlike things. I think you have the danger of that, and I think there'll be an ever attempt at them trying to corrupt you. Yes, right. Grizzly Beardo says he's played the Curse of Strahd. It can take over a year. Those are very long.
So Curse of Strahd or just the module, since it has so much stuff in
adventure.
It. Yeah,
it has so much stuff. Yeah,
and you don't have the corruption part to it, right?
Right.
So that I could do.
Well, and I think you could play an adventure that could take you a year to do because of your time constraints. Curse of Strahd's a big, thick adventure, so yeah, it's multiple adventures into one. Mm-hmm. So clearly someone can do it, and Grizzly has done it, and he enjoyed it. I could happily do it as a player or a DM. I could jump fully into the Domains of Dread, and we could have whatever machinations are going on and the challenge of the powers. I would love trying to play a paladin in Ravenloft. I would love it. That would be super hard, and I think it'd be cool to be challenged that way. Or to play an elven wizard if you use the old first edition, everybody thinks elves are almost demonic.
Right. I don't mind a challenge, but if it's inevitable that you will be corrupted, then I'm not. That doesn't sound fun to me.
No, it doesn't.
If it's challenging because you're going to be continually tempted and offered, choices that neither one sound very good, that's okay.
Yeah. But you don't want that to be like Darth kind of, I think he agrees with you, because I personally think that the Ravenloft setting is good for a point in the campaign. Ravenloft is more of an adventure location, not meant for campaign play. So his argument is, if the mists come take you for an adventure and you find a way to get out.
Yeah. In and out. Yeah. Now and again. Yeah.
Ultra American asks, how did you feel about Dragonlance getting tied to Ravenloft? Some people got butthurt over that, because they thought that, well, Dragonlance is kind of a self-contained world. They don't travel between planes there. But I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool that Soth ended up going to being drawn by the powers by a ghost of Kitiara and then became a Lord of Ravenloft. I think he escaped too later on, but I have no issue with that. For me, Ravenloft is the dark, gothic horror, the chance of corruption, being a lure of power, but there's a price to it. I could dig that for a campaign. I haven't had many players that would like that, though. Right. And I think it would only be fun if you really got into the RP side of things. Heavy role-playing, some fighting, but it can't be, let's go kill the next monster and get more loot. Let's kill the next monster and get more loot.
Right, that's not the tone there.
That's not the tone. It doesn't mean you can't get some loot, but if you played a campaign from 1st to 10th level, or even higher, played a full year or whatever it might take, I could see you. I mean, thinking more of the 2nd edition and previous version of the Domains of Dread. Sorry, Grizzly Beardo, I'm not talking so much about Curse of Strahd. I think you would probably not have a lot of magic items, because, and I'm not even sure if really high level makes a lot of sense in Ravenloft, because if you get really high level, I don't know how scary even some of the lords are. Right. If you're a 15th level wizard, I don't know how scared of Strahd you are.
Right.
Maybe a little bit.
A little.
You got a party.
Especially if you're a 15th level party.
If you're a 15th level party, you're like, I'm 15th level paladin.
The powers of Ravenloft will probably invite you to leave once you get to a certain level, because they will feel threatened.
Correct. And they'll say, nah, this guy's just trouble. Yeah, I agree. Grizzly says, yes, heavy role-playing. The players have to buy into the setting premise of being in the dark about all the gothic tropes. Yeah, you got to kind of not just cheese it all.
Well, it looks like Ultra American asked both of us about Dragonlance, and I'm going to say it didn't affect me one way or the other.
Yeah, we were not Dragonlance people in general.
I really didn't care for the Dragonlance novels, and I didn't care for the Dragonlance modules because they were heavily railroaded, and you had to do things certain ways. I wasn't. I mean, some of it was all right, but it just wasn't my thing.
For years, I've had trouble with settings like Dragonlance because the novels have told the best story. So I'm like, why do I want to go to that world? Sometimes I feel that way about Lord of the Rings. I don't want to play MERP or, Lord of the Rings fantasy role play. The best story's been told. I sometimes don't want to play Star Wars because the coolest Skywalker story's been told. That's just me. That's a different thing. I would say Ravenloft is campaignable. I think it is clearly. I think you could easily play a couple of months. I don't think it's a problem. I think even Joe could handle a long arc in the domain of dread, where maybe you did an adventure or two before you got to escape.
Right. Yeah, that would be fine.
Yeah. And I do think the 5e module is decent. I've looked at Curse of Strahd. Many people say it's the best one. So, yeah. I did have that happen, Darth. He said to kill a domain lord should require something in and of itself will corrupt the PCs and leads to the PC's downfall. I agree, and it's hard to pull off if your characters are 15th, 16th level, because they can lay the smack down and then go hunt Strahd's body wherever it is and keep burning it.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I can see there being a theme of you killing one of the lords, and then it leads to you taking their stuff. It sounds like that's the way it would work in that setting. Yeah. So even thinking of the idea of my character's going to want to take one of those guys out is probably not the right way to think about it.
In the early modules, if I remember correctly, there was an adventure called The Created, and what was his name? A little marionette, evil marionette. Mm-hmm. And he was what they called, they had a name for it. He was like a minor lord. So was Arajani, an adventure called Web of Illusion. And the whole goal of the adventure is to kill that lord.
Right.
Which frees that domain, which they either lets people go back to their home world or they meld into other parts of Ravenloft. And the players may have opportunity during those adventures to do evil things and become the new lord, or to be stuck in Ravenloft. You can get stuck.
Right. So yeah, the minor lords, that sounds like a fine thing to do.
But to kill Strahd and Aslan and some of the big permanent, yeah, most of those have the ringer aspect. You kill them, they're not dead. You put them down now because the powers help them. The powers bring them back. Yeah. So to me, it is campaignable. I think for most people, it's 2 or 3 months. If you run the Curse of Strahd adventure, it's not bad. If you run I6, players can dig that, but that's more of I would call that a glorified one-shot. Mac, I cannot believe you're late. Priorities, man. You got to have priorities, brother.
You need your geek card. It will get bent.
Good to see you. So, yeah, for me, I think it's definitely campaignable, but I think for others, it's probably more of a mini campaign or a foray into the domains of dread.
Right, because for a lot of people, D&D is about being the adventurer.
Yes.
And
being the hero, the big damn hero.
You find the monsters in their lair, kill them, take their stuff, bring it back to town, and enrich civilization in general.
Though some people don't agree with that. There are people in the chat that would say D&D is not about being the hero. I don't see L today, but if he was here, he wouldn't say he doesn't like the idea of you being a hero. I say you can become it. I agree. You don't start out as one.
No, you don't start out that way. No,
but you can become one.
You can play heroically and not be a hero yet.
Correct.
Risking yourself for others is acting like a hero. You don't have to have any powers to do that.
So for you, it's better to be a one-shot or a mini campaign, something short and
sweet. It probably just depends on what's going on. And it depends on the specifics, because I could be thinking wrong about the whole corruption angle. If it's inevitable that if you stay there long enough you will be corrupted, then that's not.
I don't think that's the case, but I think you're playing with fire the longer you stay there.
Yeah.
Because the powers will be like, we got to get this goody. We need to get a hook in him.
Right.
Yeah. So you'll want to leave if you're smart. You're not. If you get an opportunity to get the heck out, you should probably go.
Right. But then powers could trick you into thinking the way you're going is the way out, and then you're still there.
Yeah.
I thought it was the way out.
Yeah. Or even they say, yeah, you can leave, but you look behind your shoulders and a pack of werewolves are descending on this little town that you became friends with.
Sure.
Yeah, you can go, but you got to go right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you stay here and help them, you're here for a while, or permanently, or whatever.
Yeah. All right, I think that's all that I have to say on that. That was pretty fun. I meant for it to be a short little segment, considering it's after 9 o'clock. Probably should consider winding down. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I think we have presented our information successfully.
Yes.
Here. All right. So you're good too? Anything else to say?
Just remind people, Big Geek Con 2. Don't forget, September 20th, 22nd, 2024.
Yep.
30
The links
bucks
will be in the show notes. Right.
Yep.
Well, this is Joe.
Oh, wow. And this is Randy.
What was that? Was I supposed to say something else?
Do it, baby.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.
Later, guys.